Nanzaje Zeroooo Ulekwabi Niko Ulekwabi Niko Sikame Never ever give up Sikame Never ever give up Mungu will bless our ways Mungu will bless our ways Niko 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 Handsome man Niko 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 Sikame Never ever give up Sikame Never ever give up Our Lord God will bless our ways Our Lord God will bless our ways Nico Handsome man
Hi everyone, hello. Hi everyone, we're live now. We're live. Welcome. Today we are talking about rural activism. Well, they say that things we know that we don't know, that things we don't know that we know, and that things that we don't know we don't know, or something of that sort. Yeah. So today I want to learn about rural activism. There's some things we just understand. We think, okay, we know what that is, we know where it's coming from, but because we don't live that life, we don't know what it is. So today I'm going to learn just like you're going to learn. Welcome to Success Your Way Movement. This is your platform where we talk about everything that helps us stay positive, inspires us, help us move forward, and learn something new every day, or rather every week. So yeah, welcome to your friends. I'm your host, Nicole Hanselman. I've got my guest here, Mumbe. I'll let her introduce herself. She'll tell us everything we need to know. Okay, 2 favors. Tag your friends. Second favor, what are some of the questions you'd like me to ask her? What are some of the things you'd like us to know or understand? Because I'm like, you know what? I really don't know where to take this. It's just something I'm not too conversant with, if I may put it that way. So welcome, Karibuni. Say hello to me so that I know you are on. Mtu wa kwanza, who is there? Hello. Nisalimie, tell me where you're joining from. Nisalimie. Okay. Meanwhile, let me do the same. Let me find my friends. Let me tag them and let them know we are on. Then I'll invite our guest. She's just there waiting for us. Karibuni. You want some music? They do have some music here sometimes. Let's see. Dance pop. What's that? Let's hear some music while we wait for me to tag my friends. We don't want to say, oh, you can tag me. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Karibuni. So, what I'm going to do is tag. I usually just tag the names that come up first. Much easier for me. So, Shona, how are you? Are you there? Are you available today? Say hello to me, guys. The first person who's here, then you just tag on me. Just start. As long as I have 1 or 2 hellos, I'm good to go. So, Karibuni. Okay. There we go. We've got our guest, Mumbe. I'll let her introduce herself and tell us everything about her. And then, like I said, I want 2 favors from you. Tag your friends and tell them you're on. And the second favor is what are some of the questions we could ask them? What are some of the things you could learn? Okay, cool. Drum rolls. Hi, you. Your mic is fall off.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me turn off the music. Sometimes I forget. What sort of music was that dance for during the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You need to place you something from Yaoundé, and you'll definitely like Central African music. So my name is Mumbe. I am from Kenya. I am from Kitui, and I've grown up there. I think I identify as an activist, a sister, recently an auntie, and I'm trying to like find my way around doing things I'm passionate about. Like
Yeah,
right now, I am working on different projects whereby we are focusing on trying to ensure that people who live here have access to basic services such as what can I say? Like our major focus is on peace and security, but it's a lot of work stuff which is
yeah.
boring. But apart from that, is that I have a background in international relations and a master's in disaster management,
Mm,
and and apart from that is I'm a founder of a foundation. It's called Nyansapo AI, and what we do is we have an app which is
mm.
called Nyansapo, whereby we use it to improve the literacy and numeracy levels of children. I think
Yeah.
that's really me. Yes.
We'll get to know you even more. You're a busy girl.
Huh. Now, as in, in Kenya, like we can't do poverty, so you have to like do 10 hustles to survive in that beautiful country of ours.
Nice. You sound like you have more than 24 hours in a day. We'll go back to that app you're talking about. We would like to know more. So for
Mm,
me, and I don't know what I'm speaking for a lot of us, so it's just me. I don't know what you're talking about when you tell me rural activism. I do know that we used to have developments that will be done in the rural areas, and then we have women empowerment, the charmers and stuff. Am I close to what is my imagination close to that? Because we understand what the urban one is. You can find somebody who's
mm,
passionate about politics, and they'll be going on and on about politics. But what is rural activism? And
mm.
yeah, go ahead and answer. I was just hoping somebody will say hello to me so that they don't miss out on the most important question. I'm just wondering whether I'm the only one who wonders what it is.
So,
Hi guys, say hello. Yeah, go on and tell us a little bit so that we have an understanding what it is, Mumbe.
okay
Mumbe
then.
or Mumbi? Mumbe.
Mumbe, Mumbe is
Mumbe.
Kamba. Mumbe is more
Yeah,
Kiswahili.
Mumbi is not Kamba.
Yes, but they mean the same.
Yeah,
So,
what does it mean?
so no, I think I cannot speak for Mumbi, but in Mumbe is
Yeah.
more of an adjective. Like, if you wanna say something is well made in Kamba, you take like the root of the word. So you say maybe kendo kini kiumbe nesa. So kiumbe, like now you add. So it's well made, beautiful. Yeah. So I
Nessa,
love
Nessa, Nessa. That's the
nesa.
only thing I remember right now. So
Okay.
I'll just call it.
So
Yeah.
okay. So
What else do I
circling
know?
back
I know
to
bad words, so I won't even try. So I don't know. There are a few bad words. That's what they
we
say. If you want
got
to learn a language, you learn the bad words. So I do know a few bad words, so, but I won't go there. Mm.
no, I'm gonna work
Yeah.
hard to ensuring that you understand like more cow words. So
Mm.
rural when you talk about rural activism,
Yeah.
it's complex in the sense that in many cases you find that rural areas are underdeveloped. And the good thing about rural areas compared to some urban areas, which equally have a need like slums, is you find that many governments tend to focus on bringing development there. But at the same time, you find that the efforts they do are not necessarily enough to ensure that people get access to the basic services and what have you. Like, for example, when I look at my home, I come from a small village in Kitui County called Go. You find like we have issues such as access to roads. We have issues such as, especially roads and water, is our biggest issue, which we've been having since independence, but nothing much has been done. So, how rural activism comes into that space, like in my home, is to try to drive change, which is centered on the community. And in many rural areas, you find that we are driven by our culture. So, like rural activism also um, takes into cognizant different things which might be absent in driving change in an urban setting, such as focusing on our culture, focusing on what has been done before, but trying to find a nexus of how you can drive the change which you want to be. And then another thing about rural activism is it's not limited to like a particular group of people, like young people, whether you're educated or not, or your religion doesn't matter. Like you can be a part of ensuring that you drive the change which is required in your community. I think that's like a what, like a very general term, but I hope that you do understand like what I do, because that's generally what I do.
What I'm trying to find out is whether it's actually a good thing, trying to, have the same infrastructure that we have in the villages. I'm wondering whether is it beneficial? Because my understanding is I would like my village to stay a village, innocent and cute, fresh air and stuff. So how does it come about? Will it not lose the meaning?
No, as in, okay, like you've explored, like when you go to a rural area in France or in Germany, you find that they have access to the schools. I have not interacted with the education system, so I cannot say about anything about the education system. But they have the infrastructure around
Mm,
there. So like ideally, like we don't want our rural areas to continue staying the way we know about them, because you find that probably if you go there once a year, maybe in December, you see that hmm, maybe in my place when it rains, it's very hard to access. You had
mm,
like sometimes last year there's a whole bus which drowned because we do not have access to infrastructure such as bridges. At the same time,
mm,
you find that we do not have enough hospitals, we do not have enough nurses or
mm,
doctors for that sense. So the same way like urban population has an advantage of getting that, it's only
mm,
fair that rural areas have
mm,
the same access. And apart from that, you find that when the culture element plays, and you find that we still have retrogressive cultures which continue to exist. For example,
mm,
when you go to Masai land or in Mbere, you find that we have issues such as female genital mutilation. When you come to my county, you find that we have high numbers of teenage pregnancies, and most of these things are
yeah.
brought about by
Mm,
that retrogressive culture. So when you're driving change in rural area, we don't want it to remain like a time capsule where you go once and then you're like, this thing has been there since 1980
mm,
or since my grandmother was there. No, we want a rural area which is comfortable for people, whereby people have the space to build and grow their lives and live
mm,
comfortably. Yes, because
mm,
there are people who spend their entire life there without exactly moving out. So we want them to have the same access to services, the same access to infrastructure which is similar to people who live in urban areas. And also, apart from just access to infrastructure, you find that people in rural areas practice economic activities which are different from urban areas. For example, we
mm,
have big farms. Let's say we go to Moranga, you find that they
mm,
have avocados. So we want rural activism will drive that change and ensure that maybe
mm,
these people have access to markets. When we have
mm,
youths working there, do yeah, or else when, especially for us young women, when we find ourselves in the agricultural sector, you find that we are mostly marginalized in the sense that
mm.
we do not own land owing
Oh,
to our
yeah,
cultural practices.
that's still
And
a
then
thing.
apart from
Yeah.
that, yes, and then when you find like, for example, in my region, you spend a lot of time in the farm, but all the
Mm,
produce which you like all the harvest which is gotten from the farm, and once it's sold or it's used, you find that that money is not given to the girl. It is
It
more
doesn't
of
get to you.
yes, it does not get to them. So we need to like ensure that first is like we change the status quo. I'm not saying like everything is bad in rural areas. There's some things
No.
which
Mm,
proud of, like our
mm.
music, our dance. Like I love all that, right?
Oh, I'm a
But
good
at the
kamba
same time, we
dancer.
need to change. You're a good dancer.
For combat dancing, or okay, I don't know whether I'm still that fit, but I am good. Hi Doubt, hi everyone. Doubt, I don't know whether you're still there. You remember what I was showing you on YouTube? I showed him about the phenomena in your village, in your, or rather in Cumberland, where the water
Mm,
goes the opposite way. This girl
mm,
comes from that beautiful place, where the water, instead of going out, it defies gravity. And he was really interested. I
mm.
was like, he has to come to Kenya and see that. She comes to that village, find her, she'll take you right to that spot. Hi,
So
Abel.
fun.
Hi, dear. Okay, let me read. Allow me, Mumbe, to read a little bit of this.
Okay.
Hi, CJ Black Diamond. She also comes from your area. I need to hear your input about this. What do you feel about the rural area having the same or almost the same needs that people in the modern areas have and stuff? How do you feel about that, uh, my darling? So Dad says, very true, village people are left behind by our political leaders. And most of them go back to those villages. So it's it's amazing. We have talented people in rural areas such as athletes, sports, etc., but are not noticed. You know, this is so true because you see, like our runners, I don't know whether it's still true now, but until recently, you went to some of the places they trained, and you're like, these people, they win golds, they win gold for us, they win silver, they win all these things internationally. But if you look at where they train, it's so sad. So Christine was saying, interesting topic today as a development thesis. This touches my area. Come on, I want to hear, I want to learn, I want to learn. And then that was just hello right back. And then I wish if you have more people like this woman, she's on point. She needs a position in the government. I would like to visit. I know you do. I know you do. So, if you guys have any question or you want any direction, I had to take any direction, feel free to do that because I did have some question I wanted to ask her, but I just it's something I'm trying to understand. What do we mean by this rural activism and stuff? And I'm glad at least now I'm more aware of what it is and where you're coming from. And I do know one of my friends who just tagged Virginia. She was also trying to explain to me a project she did when she was in the village, and they were trying to, or more like harvest water. Is that an area you work on?
No, I have not like really done much about water, but
Mm,
I have in my foundation, my co-founder is from Ghana, and he's having a hydroponics project.
mm,
I am not sure what hydroponics does, but it has an element of saving water and planting some vegetables for children, and they are working with
mm,
the government to ensure
mm,
that now when children have the access to school, they also have lunch from the school where they can plant some legumes and ensure that they have increased attendance of children in the school. But it's
yeah.
always a very interesting element, like something to talk about,
Mm.
especially if me coming from Kitui, because you find that seriously our main problem is water. Like if water was resolved, uh,
It's a
if the water
basic
issues were
need, and
solved.
you guys have a dry land. Some of your areas can be really dry, you know. And I'm thinking, for if you're fighting for our whole in the political arena, if you're fighting for all these nice things for women empowerment, women having like equal rights and stuff, then things like I think that's one thing you should consider looking into to
Mhm.
reduce like poverty coming from some of the regions affected by water.
Yeah, but I totally agree. But at the same time, is that when you look at what some of our political leaders are doing, you actually wonder if they finished basic geography. Because like when you look at the general Nika Plateau, is that we
Yeah.
have high concentration of magnesium and other heavy minerals. So
Yeah.
they tend to drill wells. And when you
Mm.
drill a well, the water will not even be consumable. It will not be potable water. So
Yeah.
like doing water, like for our region, we need to have like our dams which harvest on surface water. That's
Mm.
what can work. But what is happening, or what many small organizations can afford, is drilling a well, which is very very illogical, like defies science, unless you have heavy like investments in machineries to refine the water. But it's
Mm.
something interesting to look at. And
Mm.
probably it's something which I can look at. I used to joke when I was a kid that I wanted to be a senator. And then my dad was like, God, like how did I go wrong? Like, but then we didn't have senators before the constitution changed. So I would be like,
Mm.
yeah, I want to be a senator. Then they are worried. They're like, this kid is watching too many movies. But I'm glad right now they are senators, and that's something
Yeah.
I would want to do 20, 30 years from now. So maybe 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So if I have the means of power, or else if I'm able to influence something within my county or within my region, to have like those kind of infrastructure sets, I will be able to do that, because we as young people need to be involved in policy making. We cannot just go and do what the government is supposed to do. We need to like show them the need. We need to go out there, work with different partners, try to identify the policy gaps which you can write on. For example, right now, from August, we're probably going to have a new um, county assembly with new people. So that gives us a chance, like a niche, when it comes to policy making, to try to see if we can have something new which will be done
Mm.
in the new county. So we have like things which we can harness on, but we also need to be taken as a serious group. Like today I was talking
Yeah.
about to somebody, but it was the conversation was about still peace building. But so I was trying to wonder like why are the militants in my case not involved in many of the conversations? And that person told me that he's actually a professor. He told me that
Mm.
they are not organized. And then he actually joked and told me the same way you people are not organized. Like you people, to me, it means like us young people, which is true. I find like we are not organized enough to
Mm.
advocate for what is important to us. Like
Mm.
for me as a young person from my region, we need water, but we are not organized
Yeah.
enough to like tell the government like we need this. Because we might
Yeah.
go there and then somebody's offered 1,000 bob, but then you're like, touche guys,
Yeah,
like
I think that's
yeah,
really
yeah,
unfair stereotyping because it starts with the leaders, really. It's not down to a particular region as such. It starts with the
yeah.
leaders and helping people stay organized and learn organization skills and stuff. I'll come back to your comments, guys. You know what I realize is that when it comes to being taken seriously, it starts with all these little things that people do, from making fun of a particular region. Like history has had it where uh, like people from Kamba has always been people take what I can only think of swear words again. Uh, Peace. That's the only word that's coming to my mind. People take when you're from Cumberland, there will be jokes about that place. There'll be, people will feel like, okay, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to be
Yeah.
polite here. I'll be headstrong a little bit to just get the point straight. When people are
Mm.
making jokes or trying to explain anything, you'll find that they'll put the Kamba people somewhere down at the bottom, you know. So when
Yes,
people
yes.
from your region are trying to say something, somebody would have diluted it
Mm.
with a not so nice. Let me call it a banter, not so nice banter. Let me be clear. I'll give by giving you an example. I have a friend, a Kamba friend. I have a few, and
Yeah.
I noticed that people like to call him by his tribe, and I. And most of the time, it will be more of like a joke, but those sort of jokes, but and I told him, why do I allow people to do that? Nobody goes calling other people, I'm Kikuyu, Luya. Why do they
Mhm.
have to call you Nkamba? Hmm? Why do they have
Yeah,
to
but
call you?
but
Yeah.
do you know like But what I'm also slowly realizing is that you, like, as a young person, you need to like establish your brand. Like, people see you the way you present yourself. Because for me, I don't, yeah, like I use my Kamba name all the time because honestly I forget my English name. I grew up in a rural area. These English names are like decoration. Like, you're gonna use them twice, maybe when you get baptized, and then when you're doing your KCP, your mom is like, where's your dad name? Then you're like, bro, I have a bad name. And then you discover that you're not that special. Like, you have the same name with all your cousins. You're like, okay, sucks. But at the same time, like, young people, we need to present our brand. Like, for example, Muchula Kilonzo Jr. is a senator from Makueni, and he's one of senator number one. Like, he's one of the most outspoken people in the Senate, and he's taken seriously. So you find like it's just a matter of you as a person saying like, you know, we're gonna work better. You're gonna treat me the way
Yeah, yeah,
the way I present myself. I also noticed that working with people with other races is sometimes people consciously or subconsciously, depending on their region, sometimes have like
yeah,
identified stereotypes
yeah,
against Africans. So like, we have to speak our mind, say like establish clear boundaries. You're like, I can do this because one, two, three. As in, you
yeah,
inviting me to a weird party, I'm like, I can't go that. Like, that is so un-African, or that's not something relatable. So I think like
yeah,
it's a point of like them, yeah, them like building their brand and saying like, no, you can do that. Although sometimes it's really like hilarious, like, yeah, you they will be cool with it. But for me, I love being spun about how a person views me. Like,
mm,
are we gonna be friends who can like make fun of it, or friends with everybody, or yeah, but it's
yeah,
all a part of your branding. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping
It's
that your
not
friend
fair.
will.
It's not really your problem. It's a reflection of who they are. Just because you're from a
Mhm.
certain region doesn't mean that you haven't got anything serious or tangible to say. But let's try and stick to the topic about, stick to one line of the topic.
Mm.
Somebody's, before I miss down, they become too many. Okay. Somebody said hydroponics is already in Kenya. It's a system where plants grow in water, which circulates, needs small spaces. I'm doing research on aeroponics and aquaponics as well. Okay. Dear,
And that's,
speak English.
mm,
I'm only seeing sometimes. I do know that people who are already doing such things. I do know. I just don't know the terminologies and stuff. I do know. I'm aware of that. Just tell us more. Let's learn together about that, and maybe you can start being the activist to make people more aware of the things that are already there in Kenya, already happening, so it helps other regions of Kenya.
mm,
Somebody said good evening. Sorry, I didn't see your message. Good evening to you. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. We did have a question. Mine is a question to the guest if she has approached the government with brilliant ideas, especially this app. I want us to come back on this app. I want us to talk about this app. I think it's a very important thing, and I think it's something that needs lots of funding for it to just be the next, like, the best thing that ever happened to us. Hi, all the ladies. I've just landed. Mumbe means give us in our Bukusu language. I thought you should know. There we go. Give us in our Bukusu language. But she is giving us already. She's giving herself. You need to bring this into latest technology farming. Yeah, skill boosting workshops bring greenery back. Youth is the future. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know what? We're having this topic where I don't know whether it's like even like recruiting or giving people ideas on how they can be an activist just from the small corner of the world. Because there are little things you can do and just make a difference. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, and I'm glad you're here with us, Mumbai, because now questions are coming.
mm.
Aquaponics is where you can do fish farming and grow plants on the top. I love
Sounds
that.
fancy.
That is so clever.
Give me a
Nothing gets
second.
wasted. And then the
Mm.
plants, the fish can still eat the plant. I'm almost losing my guest. I'm almost losing my guest. Yeah. Still bring your questions and the direction you'd like us to take with this conversation. I was going to ask, okay, you're back.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, you've touched on this, but yeah, I wanted you to talk about what are some of the areas of rural activism we need to know about, the ones maybe you are involved in, and the ones that maybe that have not been spoken about. What are some of those, and then the importance of the activism plays as well.
Um, so for me, that's going to be biased because, like right now, I work as a gender specialist. So my most of my work is targeted around women. So mine will be very biased. I'll talk about women, what affects girls in rural area, and what can be done for them. So when you look at many girls from my region, like my lived experience, you find that girls' time is limited. For example, the reason why I'm keen about water is that when we do not have water, people who spend time to go actually fetch water are us, young women or children, but mostly it's young women. If we are having a harvest in the farm, we feel like our time is limited because we are the ones who take up most of the responsibilities in the household. It is mostly young women and women, like their mothers, but young women have a role to play. And you find that all these activities hinder the access to education. And at the same time, when they are unable to access education, let's say they do not proceed to class 8 or they maybe complete secondary school but they do not transition to universities or any higher institutes of learning, you find that we have a major problem. Oh my god, wait, this place has mosquitoes. Is that okay? Let me go indoors before my house becomes.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, that's my guest gone. I like the topics that are coming. Aquaphonics. Okay, aquaphonics. Where are you practicing this right now? Where are you practicing this? Where is phonics happening? And how can we expand on this and learn from this? The person who is this? I have a feeling I know who that is. I love such topics. You know what? Whatever our guest is doing right now is really good and helpful. Because if we can join hands and help people like her and accept her help and stuff, we can find the rural areas, like growing and being the best fashions they can be of the areas. And you're seeing like projects like this aquaphonics and stuff, they can help us come out of from being a poor continent. If we all start in our little areas and develop our little areas, we'll stop being hungry. We'll stop relying on these international things, international helps. We'll have all we need. At least that's how I see it. I don't think Africa was meant to be poor. We are not poor. It's our birthright. We are not poor. We have the most important thing, agriculture, and then we just got lost in the middle when the other things were sold to us. The wrong things were sold to us, and we are kind of lost. But if we could go back to the basics, then we'll be on the right track. That's why I wanted our guest to, clarify why she needs all this infrastructure that we get in the urban areas. Why do we need that? To me, I'm just thinking, let's not ruin the rural areas, but let's make it even better with whatever it has. Hi, dear. Glad you're back. This is a topic I really needed to stay on because it's not my thing. I have a passion. I love agriculture. I just love, but I have no idea. I'm those people called Bone Town. Born in town, went to school in town, and everything in town. But at one moment, I did study in the village a little bit. I went to Embu for about a year or two when I was very young, about 10, 11, 12, about that, thereabouts. So I really love those things. And when I hear them, I'm just filled with passion. So welcome back, Mumbai. Go on from where you left. You were there, you were
Thank
talking about how you were passionate about supporting women and stuff, and that's
yeah.
where a starting point. That is a starting point.
Mm. Yeah. So like generally what I was saying um from before the mosquitoes chased me out. Actually, here we have an outbreak of malaria. Anyway, that's a whole new story. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that women, especially young women, are disproportionately affected by different problems within our community. Let's talk about water, let's talk about even climate change. You find that we are the ones who bear the highest costs of that. And also when it comes to education, you find like most our culture is more like, especially in very rural areas, they would prefer even taking a boy child to school compared to a girl. So there are many things which can be done to ensure that by us young people, not external people, but just working together, ensuring that these girls have access to a better life. For example, is that number one, when you go to your village, you'll find that that village mate who maybe never proceeded to go to secondary school has started a business. But in the same time, when you interact with her business, you see like there are many gaps. Like I have this friend, like she tries, she works hard, but right now she's improving. But you find that she starts a very good business to sell mutumba, like second-hand clothes, and then you use all the money to like meet your immediate needs. Like you need to like train them, like you do not you use your profits. I know that's a very hard thing to do because the businesses are small, but when they adopt this small business idea, like ethics, understanding like let's say business management generally, you don't have to make it like very complex. You do a simple project. For example, you tell them how to get out of their comfort zones, because in as much as you're trying to drive change, it needs to be owned by these people. So you need to like first of all start by trying to identify like who they are, like maybe how does gender issues affect them, like affect their relationship with other people, and how can we like not exactly, we have this in humanitarian settings, we have this thing of called do no harm, like the principle of do no harm. Yes. So like you don't want to leave women whereby you empower them to the extent that they're gonna be fighting with their husbands, or that will cause like a bigger problem which you don't wanna go there. But ensuring that how do we have like that peaceful transition where women understand that yes, I can take a loan to start my business. Yes, we
Mm,
can work together to ensure that our children go to school. And at the
mm,
same time, when I get this loan to run my business, I'm gonna do blah blah. I'm gonna talk to my customers well.
mm.
I'm gonna do like explore how to start my business. Like
Yeah,
like when you go to a village, everybody is selling tomatoes and the same place.
yeah.
And then at the same time, you don't even have a salon, you don't have so those small skills need to be
What
trained
small
people.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, just
I
small skills. Hmm.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I understand where you're coming from with all those important things that our women want, but we realize that it's a big hurdle because everything starts from the mentality. Getting people from that mental state of this is what it was, this is what it is now, and this is what the future is. You sometimes I think it's hard to explain to somebody in the village why you think maybe a salon is something good to them, so that even if you're I don't think a lot of them would understand how beneficial it is, because the mindset cannot see what the future is like, where the future
Mm-hmm.
is going to. And I'll give you something that happened recently online, an example I saw. And somebody was asking people to tell them ideas of where they could take their 60 something year old parents for holiday. And the comments were really funny, because everybody was like, "How my mom? How would I convince her that her chicken will be okay? How would I, how would I convince them that the car will be fine without her there?" So you see, we're starting from the mentality too. The mentality in the village is quite different. And if you never went to school outside of the village, understanding some of the things that you're trying to articulate may be difficult. Understanding that the mental health, just relaxing, having fun is also good. Just having those little luxuries in the village is also good for them, so that they're not always in the farm. And once in a while, they have time to play, because play is really important for them in their development. So I don't know. When you come to empowering women and getting them, what are some of those answers that you get actually? Maybe you could start from there. Do you find there's resistance? Just if even
So
leave alone the leaders and stuff, just from the grassroots, from the people you're trying to help, is there
yeah.
resistance?
So, do you know, like one thing I'm really glad about being an African woman is that a lot of research has been done. Like we have empirical data showing that the correlation between maybe teaching people about empowerment and how that's going to improve the economic gains. For example, I did a while back a project in Namuongo slums in Kampala, whereby we're teaching women in the slums on how to start and grow their businesses. And I was looking at the information years after I've left there, is that those women 2 years after the program have increased their earnings by around, I
Oh,
think, 100 and something percent. So it's
yeah.
there's a lot of like data and a lot of a lot of research which has been done to ensure that there are these little nuances which we can
Mm.
focus on and ensuring that women like these people like no, it's hard when you're doing activism and say these people, so you're part of the community. Like step people like us people are able to develop. And at the same time is that it's really sometimes it's hard like working with the community because for example, I've been since the schools closed. I have an office in Kitui, and I work with an amazing lady called Angela, and she's been running not boot camps exactly, but assessments because we need to like work on some few parts of the some few elements of our app and ensure that our data is on the point. And then you find that every time we like say like we want to do assessments for children, many children come to our office, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming. But at the same time, we find that there are some few issues. Like some parent tells you like, "Yo, my children came for the boot camp, and then they arrived at home at 8." So if somebody is using your program as an excuse to do their own stuff, so we cannot, coming from a county which has many teenage pregnancies, you really don't want to be associated with that. Like you stand about how you engage with people. And at the same time is that now because most of my work is geared around women, apart from the app which focuses on children, is that many people think that that girl who does women stuff, like sometimes that underscores your value because you're like, I'm knowledgeable. I do many other things apart from like working with women. But when it specifically comes to working in the community, is that me as Mumbai, I cannot go to Kitui and go to see maybe let me call them a crew of my mom's age mates, and I'm like, yo, I want to teach you how to start and grow your businesses. They'll be like, this kid was born yesterday. Like, what are you coming to teach us? That's why you need to have community mobilizers. You need to have people who can support you in the community. You can work with the chief. You can even work with the village elders to ensure that you have their support. Like when you have their support, or even especially right now, it's easier to even work with religious leaders, but whoever you're comfortable with, like ensure that they have that specific buy-in so that you can work together. But if I go directly there, even the women will be like, this child, we know her, we've seen her
Yeah,
grow, and then she thinks
yeah.
she's more intelligent than us. And I think like I cannot like go to specific details, but I've seen like some friends project failed hard because you come like telling people like like when you go to my village, you see some things which are happening and then you're like, this is pure mediocre. Like say for example, you want to start and grow your business, but you're opening your business as Sita. But at the same time, you know, you can come there and be like, these people don't know how to run their business. But when
Mm.
you look at our culture, is that in the morning you go fetch water. After you finish fetching water, if you live next to the river, you have to water your garden. You have many things to do. Plus, people don't come in the market in the morning. People come in the market in the evening. So it does not make sense. But at the same time, you as an external person, you can be like, this thing is not working and you need to like change. So if you come, so that friend came with that mentality, like, I want to come and change this. After that, I want to go to be an MC. And then everybody was like, what's wrong with kids? We're like, wow. Yes, yes. So like you really need to have like a support system,
Mm.
like which helps you that. But it's not like I do not like have like specific like terms which I've
Mm.
experienced with because for me I've had like mine is unfair support. Like I've had a lot of support from my clan. Like hey, I'm the eldest daughter, so like I got to influence my uncles and my aunties to support my work even if they don't believe
Mm.
in it. So for me, I have like a very unfair advantage to
Mm.
do my work in Kitui. Yes.
Nice, nice. It's gone quiet. Yeah, everybody's just listening now. They're listening. I want them to ask questions and stuff. So what I'm gathering is, if somebody wants to do what you do, you first you have to pack the passion and the patience and stuff. And you have to have that support from the family, from the people, from the village. Let them trust you, let them be confident and around you, and have the knowledge of whatever you want to sell to them. If you're trying to take them to the future, you have to have good knowledge of how it's going to work, and so that they feel the benefit, they know that you are in for the good. Guys, ask questions. Welcome, Karibuni. I think I've read all the comments so far. There was a question here that I don't know whether you did answer. Somebody did tell you you need to bring your youth into the latest technology, farming skill boosting workshop. Yeah, they did tell you that. There was a question as well. I'm going to ask you. Okay. I think you've answered that. Women gaining access to markets to start businesses and stuff. Okay. How difficult is it to call community members to have a sit down to talk and understand projects? How difficult is it? Does it even happen? For a person like you,
Um,
especially who like you travel a lot, you're never there. How do you maneuver such things?
so like for my team is like we've identified like specific things which we do. For example, we are trying to launch a program. It's called Dada Waweza, whereby we're teaching young women to start and grow their businesses. And it's more of feminist leadership, because apart from businesses, we also want women to take charge in different social gatherings such as chamas, because in many cases you find chamas are headed by older people and or men, which is a little bit unfair for the women. You find like not many women are able to even stand in front of people
I find
and
the
say like,
men are the ones who go like, what will that young girl want to tell us? We've been doing this way for ages. Well, what
yeah,
what does she
but
know?
but it's a high time like women, like girls took their space out there. And how
Mm.
we are doing it is we have a survey, like we're trying to have a document which talks about status of women in Vo Chama to ward in each county. Like we very specific, like we collect, like we working with different young people to collect data on that. Apart from that, we're having focus group discussions with different members of the community. We work with the police, like the police are sometimes they have gender things they need to do. They need to take photos.
Yeah.
It's part but yeah, so we closely work with them. We work with the chief, we work with the CSO, we work with teachers, we work with nurses. Like it's in a small way, like we're not a big organization, but we ensure that we work with these specific people in the community who can influence that. Like for us, we have a sit down with them, and they know that when you come to our meetings, this is not a government meeting, this is pro bono. As from the first time we tell you that you're going to use your fuel to come for our meetings, but this meeting is pro bono. We want you to tell us, like, what do you think about what you've come up with? Like we in our focus group discussion, the first one will happen, I think next week on Tuesday. Like they will come and validate what we've worked on. Like they will tell us, like, this training people on this can work or this cannot work. Apart from that, we also ask them different questions, like, what do you think about the women? How do you think about the participation of women? Like, which resources do you have as a police, as a nurse, in your backyard, or things which you have, so that we can like them they also can contribute to that, because we've been having instances where right now it's election time, so some politician will come and join your project and then they're like, I'm gonna fund you, and then the funding never comes. It's people out there who are serious enough to support you, but from your village
Yeah.
you find it's a little bit hard.
I'm
So
just
like,
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead. I just thought that the perception we have, our perception is based on maybe the things we hear or the things we read. We don't really know. I personally don't really know. So my imagination tells me that you want to call for, call for those meetings, and people will be like, na ng'ombe zangu, oh, sijui kuna matanga wapi, and I'm just imagining them having all these excuses never to attend, and sometimes maybe you need a quorum to, to pass some things. That's what is going through my head.
Yes, it is
And
hard
then you're
because
so
somebody like,
spoken.
but somebody will tell you like they have a farm they need to do, they have a thing they need to do. You're like, that's fine. Because for us, we have this
Mm.
strategy. We need 5 people. We look for 20 people. It is that serious at home. We need 5 just look for 20 people. Probably 5 or 4 will turn up. As in, you need to be kuwa na roho ngumu when you're doing activism. At the same time, you find that sometimes you apply. Like there was this grant. Have you ever been overconfident? Like they do for you interviews, they post you everywhere. You're like, hey, these people are giving me a grant. As in, why do you post me? As in, that is even. Uh-huh. Then the next day you come, you're like, they're not even funded you. They tell you like
What?
you are among the top, but we had to select like three. I'm like, which nonsense is that? So it is hard to also finance
It's
your
hard. It
activism.
breaks the heart, especially if it's if you know it's for their good and stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ah.
But it's difficult.
Yeah. What I
Yeah,
have
but
come to understand, sorry, what I've
mm,
come to understand is youth and culture has communication gap. Okay. The educated
mm,
youths who go for holidays overseas, you need to back to our homeland, empower the rest of the people at home. Unity is the core of empowerment. I do have something to say about that because I was thinking it while you're talking. I was just thinking that if it was like a
mhm,
movement, like what you're doing right now, and then like you can teach some anyone passion and stuff, but if there are people who are passionate and they came to you, and if you teach 2 or 3 people to do what you do, and then they go back to whatever villages they come from, whatever places they come from, and then the 3 also teach other 3, we'll find that, what, we're going to have, we're going to see a difference. By the time we
mhm,
realize that there are a lot of us preaching really amazing things to take people to the future. But anyway,
mm.
what have you got to say about this particular? I think it's on about a lot of people who like the village came together and raised money for you. You went and got educated overseas, and you just literally forgot that they existed.
Mhm. But like sometimes I don't blame them. Like it's hard. Like for a person who comes from a remote area, like today I was talking to my elder brother and we were joking about some part of the culture. Sometimes you're like, it is tiresome. It is tiring.
Mm,
It
mm,
is tiring. Like for my culture, when you go have to go get married, you have to like meet people 5 times, the same people. Like you go meet
mm.
them, then you meet them again. It's part of the culture. You have to like follow all the steps. Or else maybe when the wife dies, they'll have to be buried at their home, not all the money.
Yeah. Oh
So
my
there's
God.
those small things like no for us people maybe call it maybe some form of witchcraft, but ours is blended like Christianity and
Mm,
our African culture, which I'm proud of. Like for me, I will not like start packaging it, trying to be no. That's like in as much as like Christianity is good, it's nice, but it's like external. Like we still our own people, and
mm,
yeah. So you find like our cultures are tiring. So if you go out there, if you go to US and you find the money, please go for a holiday somewhere. But also try to. I agree. Like try to do something in your village. Like don't
mm,
purely ignore them, but try to live their life because I don't see the point of having money and not enjoying it. But at the same time, is that we need to be like conscious about bringing development here. And there's some
yeah.
programs target young people, which ideally I have been part of the YALI Young African Leaders Initiative, been part of political leadership and governance program by
Mm,
PLGP if you're interested in politics. And you find that, or else I've seen like Emerging Leaders Foundation ELF in Kenya. And apart from that, there are different organizations like Acumen who have courses to teach people about activism, to teach if you're interested
mm,
in working with girls. I think it's Mercy Corps. They have a very interesting program. It's called Girl-Centered Design. So there are many different things which you can do. But one thing I'm keen about is that sometimes you see people trying to drive change in their community, but you actually look at their agenda. Like I met this passionate guy who wants to buy for his for a MCA position, and then he was saying that he's gonna use the GEF fund to improve his
of
his
course.
locality. Then I'm like, you do not know your work. That's not the work of MCA. You don't have those funds. Those funds are for women rep. Like you need what's one thing what I'm trying to drive towards is that even if we start activism, you need to have information, read wide, understand the place. Like in as much as you see a project working somewhere, go and study your culture, have some data. Not everybody like can be able to analyze data, maybe use R or SPSS to analyze
Mm.
all the data you get from your community, but be data driven. Try to do your best, like understand the basics, even if you just do quantitative data or qualitative data. Talk to people, ask them what they think, and then after that you go to your community. Don't come as a person who are like, yo, so I saw like water is disappearing, then I have
Yeah,
done environmental science, then I'm gonna come and do this. No, try to apply some principles of HCD, like
yeah,
human-centered design, about it. At the same time, read widely, understand like what exactly you stand for, and at the same time is that I last week I met a very powerful woman who I will not mention, but she's just intimidating women, and then
Mm.
she like we were talking about different things, especially around around like have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you don't deserve to be there, like maybe it's so senior, because you find like maybe you are a boss of very senior people and you're wondering like these people have been working 15 years before, like when they started working I was definitely a child playing somewhere in TV, and they were working, but right now you come as their boss and you have like I'm forgetting the exact name, but you feel like you don't deserve there. You, yeah. And then she told me, like I asked her that, and she told us to have understand your why. It's
She
very
asked you
easy to
what?
come and she told us to understand our why, like
Mm-hmm.
your why, like why
Oh
do you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
go?
Do you understand your why?
Why do
Yeah.
you go to school?
Why
Yeah.
do you do what you're doing? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it can be easy coming to Facebook, then you see Nicole, she has a very nice podcast, and then you want to be involved. So, what's your why? Like, why?
Mm.
Why are you
Yeah.
doing this? Like, why are you moving towards this?
Yeah.
That's important. Like, when you know yourself, even
Yeah.
quotes from these Greek people, sometimes I find them irrelevant because I've read them in school and I'm like, ha, it didn't say that. It was longer. But you see, like, I think it's Plato or something who says, know thyself. So I think that
Mm.
you need to know yourself, like know your why, know why you start. Maybe your why is you wanna be rich, you wanna be know your why before you start and
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah, I do
know
agree
your
with
why and
that.
read. Yes, yes. Um,
Yeah, I
but
totally
I
do agree with
that
that.
mm,
Oh, sorry again. What you do, people assume that first, generally, a lot of things that people do, people see you maybe starting a business, people see you doing activism, people see you doing
mm,
whatever. It could be even life coaching, like I do, and there's a general assumption that oh, that's easy, I can do it. It probably
mm,
is easy, maybe it is, but what will keep you doing it for the long term, for the long run? Why would you keep on coming back every day? Why would you keep on waking up every day? So once you understand why you're doing things, then when every time you're tired, anytime you meet a hurdle or you're going through something, your why is what keeps you grounded. So because everybody's why is different. For you, maybe you when you're growing up, you saw what not having did to your village. So there's that when every time you remember, I don't want any child of mine to go through that. So it's your why that makes you do it every day. But if somebody else tries to copy you, they might not do it like you every day
mm.
passionately because they don't know why they're doing it. So yeah, I do appreciate that. Every time we talk about that on our platform a lot, knowing your why. Those are comments here, dear. For me, when we talk about rural life and activism, I can easily say that I'm living testimony. I consider myself a rural activist in matters farming. I'm trying my best to teach my rural people that they don't have to relocate to the city for them to earn a better living. Recently, I helped few rural groups with beekeeping projects. This is amazing and good job to you. I love this because you know what? It's ironic because sometimes people want to go to the big cities to have what they imagine is better money, but at times they end up like selling their assets so that they're able to do that. So you find somebody selling a piece of their land so that the kids get educated, maybe in the city or the village. And this is a never ending cycle sometimes. So you keep on selling that. By the time you realize you haven't got anything, because you're hoping that maybe that child, if they maybe relocate, leave the country or whatever, they'll be able to help you. But you don't know their dreams. You don't know what will happen to them. You don't know about life. You don't know about tomorrow. So you've lost this asset what you already had, which is like diamond or gold to me, your land and everything, to take somebody to the cities when you could have just tried and do better things where you are. But again, down to our leaders. If our leaders made the education in the village good enough, if they ensure the things in the village are good enough, then nobody would also want to leave the city. Absolutely. I don't
Yeah.
know what you have to add on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree because for like I saw some research. I don't remember like what the person did, like what's which, but you find like many young women, especially those who are not uneducated, not who do not have tertiary level education, when they relocate to the cities, in many cases they end up either working as house help or else
Mm,
working in like end up living in informal settlements, which have sometimes difficulties which are even worse than residing in in rural areas. So it's always a matter of, I agree, of what he's doing, like ensure that what they are doing, like ensure that we are bringing the development in the community. Our young
mm,
girls, our young men are not going to the city to just live as destitutes in the terms of you're going to maybe Nairobi or going to Mombasa to survive. And one thing
mm,
I'm grateful about for coming from Kenya, which is that in some areas like here, you find like many people want to go to Europe, and it's a
mm,
whole new dynamic income in terms of destitution. But
mm,
here, but it's also hard, like moving. I'm imagining moving all the way from rural Kitui and going to Nairobi. You don't know anyone. You want to survive. You end up maybe living in a shanty place in terms
mm,
of surviving. Well, you could have maybe gotten the
mm.
resources which are required. So yeah, we need to ensure that that's rural urban migration is limited, and
Yeah.
ensure that we have the resources there. But that's a very
Yeah.
good project.
It
Yeah,
mostly
and also
starts
want
from
to
our
learn
leader.
beekeeping. Yes, yes.
It's
Plus, we
very
have a lot of. No, I
eh,
think that was a very good project. Like we have a lot of bees in my home. Like they are annoying. You open a jerrycan of water, bees just swarm.
I
I think we need to do something about the bees. Yeah.
yeah. We did have another question here. Central role of religion and culture and how it affects participation of women. I think you've spoken about that a little bit, but if you want to expand just a little bit more on that, and as we wind down, I'll try to keep it an hour long, but sometimes if you can't help it, it just goes on. So
Mm,
yeah, what are the central roles of religion and culture and how it affects participation for our women?
mm. So in many cases, you find that even both religion and in our cultures is that women are given a second position in our communities. Like you find that even from some scripts in the Bible, like you find that it
Mm.
is, let's say for example, inheritance is associated with men. Didn't hear somebody like Dinah inheriting anything like from from the parents, but some did, but actually I don't know who. Like, but at the same time, we also see that religion also provides powerful women such as Ruth, who are able to like really shake things up, or Esther, shake things up in their time. But at the same time, we also look at our culture. You find like what I can speak more is my Kamba culture. You find that, for example, I don't know what I did. Okay, I'm very opinionated, as you will have seen. So there was this time,
Yeah, and
I
imagine
was
you're really soft spoken, but them because you're able to articulate what your projects, your ideas, they're thinking,
uh,
too much for a woman.
yeah, but my grandmother told me that if I was born in her day, she
Mm.
would, like, I will be returned home. And oh yeah, I was refusing to wash utensils. I was like, my brother will see if this is recorded, he's gonna see like this girl is related. Anyway, I was like, I'm not washing dishes. It's my brother's day. He has to do that. And then my grandmother told me that I will have returned, be returned by my in-laws to my home. And then when you're returned, you and your mother are beaten. She'll be beaten for not teaching you discipline. Sometimes your grandmother can be beaten. That's why she was trying to drive the point. Like we
Mm.
will be beaten for your behavior. So you find like, and also we had this weird culture whereby when you milk cows, like we'll have like hundreds of cows. when you milk cows and you've stepped on that cow dung, chato, you've stepped on that cow dung, you're not supposed to wash your legs. That's for women when you're sleeping, because when you wash it, you can even be beaten to death, because
The
that
woman
means
has
that
to
you're
wash her
washing
leg.
away, yes, the
Oh,
woman, because that means that you're washing away the wealth of the community. We are coming from those. Every community has those small things, which sometimes we tend
there.
to ignore that
We
they've
know that.
ended. Like we
Because
don't,
you know that,
yeah, yes,
Mm.
advantages of living in the rural area.
And don't tell them it's nutritious. I know.
Yeah, but sleeping with cow
Oh,
dung on your
it's gonna
legs,
be good
some
for your
culture,
feet.
that's hard. Yeah, but you find that we originating from those kind of cultures whereby
Mm.
women are not treated as sometimes it's not as humans, and it's easy to ignore, say that we have religion, we have education, but it has not ended. So like this particular things, like how women should express themselves, like should a woman take a loan, should a woman inherit land, because I know many, like I think when I was in class 8, my aunt's friend was chased from by her husband from her from her marital home, and she went back to her home, and then her dad gave her a farm. Then unfortunately her dad died, and then her brothers chased her away from her home. You see, like it looks, yeah, that was the first time I was like concerned. I was like, yeah, being a woman sucks. Like I should have been a boy. But then I was like 12, so that was fine. But right now, like I'm proud of being one. But I'm like, what I'm trying to say is that this our gender, no, like our culture and our religion influences how women are perceived, how we are able to express ourselves, how we are able to like use resources within our community. Because if you go somewhere and you want to even farm, you hear somebody saying that baba huyu alisema hatupandi saa hizi, we are waiting until
Ui,
he
paka
decides.
aseme.
Yes, he decides. And you find that in some families it's very serious. They're not doing that before the
Mm.
daddy, the mzee approves that.
You
And
can
you find
understand
that
it's
that's
a good thing and it's not. Actually, it depends on the context and what it's a good thing and it's not. So to me, I find it really conflicting. I
mm,
want to be able to, make certain good decisions on my own without relying on somebody else, like approving
but
or validating them.
I think what one thing which plays out is power relations. Like how much power do you have within that relationship? For
Mm.
example, if these women had their jobs, if the businesses were running, okay, like you'll not be forced to end up like sitting down. The rain is raining. Your husband is in Nairobi. He has not approved for you for somebody to you to pay somebody to help you farm. So you're just waiting, and then you will end up having food insecurity on your own. So like if these women are in power, like they have their own money, they are taught how to like this generation sometimes can be very difficult driving the change, but they are empowered enough to take their children to school. They're empowered enough to make some few decisions on their own. You find that we might have that change, but it's a lot of what there's a lot of work needed. There is gains, and sometimes the gains can be reversed, as you saw like time during COVID. There we had like an increase of gender-based violence, which was absent. Maybe we are having a increase of teenage pregnancy. That's right now is when we are seeing the effects from last year of teenage pregnancies because of COVID. So there will be that gains and reversing of the gains, but I think it's an ongoing job. I don't think we can achieve an utopia, because yeah, human beings are, or when you look from the Hobbesian law, like human beings are brutal. We'll always end up having problems in our community, but we need to do something as young people to live in in that world which we want to have.
Thank you, my dear. Yeah, it is a journey. It is a long journey, and we just got to celebrate the little steps we make forward and learn as we go. I'm so happy with what you're doing. I'm so glad. But before we finish up, I would
Mm.
like you to go back to explaining that app of viewers that you've developed and the kind of support you might want from it, or you're looking, or where you are at now and where you are headed with it, really, as we and then I'll come back to ask you to tell us finally who you are, where you can be found, and what kind of help you can give people if anybody has like follow-up questions. Was
Okay,
that I have a
that's
mouthful?
well, that works. So, what we've done is that let me start with the background. Many children in Kenya go to school, but they don't have the literacy and numeracy competences required for their grade. It's very common, especially in rural areas. You find the child is in class 5, but cannot say a simple English sentence. For example, there's this small girl who used to come to some shop at my village, and then my brother is very talkative. So he'll be like, "Good morning, Mary," and then Mary will say, "My name is Mary," like every time. Like I was like, that's a major problem, like in my community, and it's very common. Like if you try to, let's say, do fun things. Let's say you have Bible verses, and then you ask them to read. A person will be reading guesswork, and then you notice like children don't know how to read. So with that backdrop and doing some research, we discovered there's a program which focuses on improving the basic literacy and numeracy competencies of the children. And we find that
Nice.
there's this survey called Uwezo, which uses a pen and a paper assessments whereby the instructors listen to what the children are doing, or in numeracy, they watch. Um, they look at how the children are calculating, because in numeracy you find that the basic competencies are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And for literacy, if you want to know if you know a language, you need know know letters, words, paragraphs, and story level. So what we did is we digitized that survey. For the literacy, we use natural language processing, whereby we collected different audio sets from different children across the country. You see, like sometimes you use Google and sometimes it does not understand your accent. Like you're speaking in English, but it's off. So what you did is you developed a platform, like we use Azure to develop a model which can understand our accents and see whether a child can read or not. And apart from that, for numeracy, we use machine learning, whereby a child can write on the tablet like two, and it's able to recognize that the child maybe said 1 plus 1 is 2. And after we do that basic assessment, if a child cannot read with comprehension, because it has even a story which has questions, and they cannot answer that, or in mathematics, they cannot do a multiplication. What we do is we involve them in
What
bootcamps
age is
which
it
run.
suitable for? For what age?
Sorry,
Oh,
from
for
children. Yeah, the children are normally from grade 4 to grade 7,
mm,
grade 4
that
to
is
class
really
7.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And at the moment is that we've done like some bootcamps in Kitui mostly, because that's our main focus area. And apart from that, we've also worked with some schools in Kisumu, whereby we've tested the app. We actually having a bootcamp coming up in, which month is that? May. May, there are many things happening. So you're also having some boot camps running in May, and we're hoping to like work with around 50 children from a school called Karando School in Kisumu, whereby we'll do the assessment and run a boot camp with them. And I think in terms of support is that there's a lot of work which goes into like coming up with this. So if you're a community activist and you work
Mm,
with children and you have links with schools and you have access to
brilliant.
a tablet, you can just let me know, and then we could like have a conversation, introduce you to what exactly Nyansapo does, and then you get to do the assessments and let me know like what you think about the assessment, and actually run a bootcamp and enjoy the time of using fun games and activities to teach children how to, because our main idea is ensuring that we develop the love and interest for reading. So we want to ensure that the children like really develop that. But at the same time, it's learning in progress, because for me, my work is mostly centered on women and development. And then my co-founder, his name is Edward. He's a techie, like he's a
Write those
computer
down for
engineer.
us. Yeah. Just tell us but write them down for us because they'll have on the comment later. Yeah,
Yes,
or
yes,
you
I'll
can
do.
do it out now, and then it would make it easier to check it out later.
Ah, can actually share our website. It's just
Yeah, that'd be
Nensapo
brilliant.
AI .com. When you do that, when you add the hypertext blah blah, you will be able to see. But that's what you do. You can give you a nice background on that. So like we are not educators, we are people interested in
So
development.
this is a one stop. Is it a one
Mm.
stop? Do you do everything on that on
No,
yourself?
on Nyansapo, no. What we do, the assessments we did to Nyansapo, but all those other activities like the boot camps, because they involve peer learning, they're not done on the app. We do that. What is it called? We do that like we use pen and paper, like, but the app is just for assessments and ensuring that we have the data required.
Thank you,
Mm,
my darling. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I've just realized that this is also a really wide topic because somebody
mm,
did ask me to ask you things like village farmers, whether they offer solutions to the financial problem, and why is that men in rural areas are afraid of joining charmers. And I'm just realizing it is wide, but again, you don't deal with men so much. You're more inclined to ladies and children and stuff. So that won't
yes.
be a suitable topic for you anyway. So I really appreciate you, my dear. Uh, we've taken some time. Sometimes time just goes like that fast. I know it does. Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
it's
appreciate you.
effects. Yeah, I think it's effects of talking to, and I'm like seriously extroverted. I'm always talking every day. Like I'll go to a country where I don't know the
That
language,
is
but
your
I'm like,
job,
bro, I'm not
isn't
keeping quiet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It takes a
it?
minute, yeah, but I'm actually I want to thank you for being such an awesome host. Like you should be somewhere in the TV. You can like
Say
be
that
making
again.
the you should be somewhere in the TV, like somewhere in Citizen. You're like, and
Well, there's a lot of talking. You know
yes,
what? I was
yes,
just thinking, oh, you're so quiet. I don't even know how you do the activism thing because you are really soft spoken. Oh my God. Because my imagination is like it needs somebody really loud and aggressive like me. You know, that somebody on your face. But you're like more like one level lower. Yeah,
mm,
thank you, my dear. I hope to be seeing you again and keep on the good work. I really appreciate you. We need more of you. So I hope maybe you can start something. Do tag me along if you start something while like you want to expand and have a lot of you, not carbon
mm,
copy of you, but a lot of you doing your job, so that the word spreads into all these regions. It will be amazing. So yeah,
yeah.
Asante, my dear. How do I
You're
say
welcome.
thank you? Let me try and remember myself. It's gone. No, I
You've
can't remember.
taught a lot. Name of there.
I don't think I knew that one then.
No, and sometimes people say like Asante, which is like Swahili, but like in Kikamba we say Muvea.
Huh?
Ne, N-I, Muvea, Muvea.
Nemover.
Ne Muvea.
Nemover.
Ne Muvea muno. Nigete pega ni pega muno. So
I
ni
need
Muvea muno.
practice that.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
my dear. But I do know Komanesa. So yeah, God
It's
bless you so much. Yeah, and
thank
take care for
you.
now.
It's
I
actually
know sometimes time flies, and you are a busy girl, so I'll leave you and look after
yeah.
yourself, dear. Okay.
I'll
Thank you,
definitely
and
do
thank you
also.
everybody who joined us and sing some. I lost some of you on the way there because there's news, there's cooking, there's everything. I do understand all that. We don't delete our videos; they're always here. If you can't find it here, it's easier to find it on YouTube. Go and find us on YouTube, Success Your Movement, same name. So that I said that's so quick. It sounded like something else. Success Your Way Movement. So go on there, and if you've not like subscribed on there, kindly do appreciate that. Thank you guys. And okay, where have you been? We This topic was awesome. I remember, and I was sharing today one of the things that happened where somebody asked a group, we're in the same group, so I did see your comment, where somebody asked where to take their parents for holiday, like 60-year-olds or something. And what was interesting is all the comments were like, our parents want to stay with their goats and cows. They don't want to be going on holidays and stuff. So I imagine, like, almost literally everybody was like, there's no way I can take my mom on holiday and she leaves her oh no, she won't leave her livestock. And I saw your comment, Kelvin's comment was really good. He was saying that most of us go into towns and we forget that our parents are in the village. You don't do anything, then you wait to go back now and again and to post on social media that, I took my parents to Mombasa, they're in the beach, you do it for social media, but the rest of the year, you don't know what they're eating, what they're doing. And that's why they don't want to leave their livestock. They know when you're not there, they depend on that livestock. That livestock is their everything. So yeah, I wish you were here earlier. We're winding down. So thank you, Kelvin. It was interesting to read your comments saying that today we're talking about rural activism. And those are some of the things that we're meant to be aware of, not be aware of our own habits of the where we're not helping much. We know our leaders sometimes let us down, but what are some of those things we could do ourselves to help our villages, to make our village better than what it is, and help other people not necessarily feel a need of leaving it. And, having people there. We have some villages that look like ghost towns. There's nobody there. Everybody left to the cities. Even if you build a house, it's just the bats that will live in it. Yeah, so thank you, Asante Sana. God bless you, my dear. Good night, guys, and God bless you. Kwaheri, Asante Sana. God bless.
Nanzaje Zeroooo Ule kwabi Niko